it's Donna with Resale Tips and Tales, and today I am bringing you a tip: how to measure your clothing that you're selling on eBay. So the first thing you may ask is, why should I take the time to measure my clothing that I'm going to sell? Well, the first issue is that most of the clothing you're going to be buying at thrift stores are most likely used clothing, which means they've been worn and then hopefully they've been washed. So you have the risk that the size has shrunk since its original size from the brand. Now, of course, if you have on tags, I still do measurements because every brand fits differently, and that way your buyer can make an educated decision when they're purchasing online, since they can't try on the clothing. So that's the second thing, they can't try it on. So they want to make sure that they're making a confident choice when they're purchasing from you, and they can measure their own clothing and compare it to the sizes in your listing. So it benefits both the buyer and it also benefits the seller. So you may possibly have less returns because if the buyer can confidently purchase an item and know that it's going to fit them before it gets home, you may not have as many returns. So that's a positive. The other thing is they can't open a case for item not as described, which can hurt your seller status because if you have the sizes in your listing, it would be very difficult for them to prove that you sized it incorrectly or the size was listed incorrectly. So make sure you put the measurements in your listing. So you might be asking, how do I do that? So I'm going to show you how I do my measurements. The first thing you need is a soft tape measure. You can find these probably in the sewing department in any of your local stores. These are better for clothing versus a stiff ruler because there's flexibility, which of course your clothing also has flexibility. I save a template to make it faster in my phone notes section, so that way I can just copy and paste it straight into my listings. It says what the front measurement, and then all I have to do is put the size in it. And then I also have the sleeve measurement, the back measurement, the armpit measurement, and then that way it just speeds things up when I go to actually list things. Okay, another new tool that I've been using is a website called size.ly, and it's spelled SIZE.ly. I'll leave the link below. And what it does is they've revamped it recently as well. So you have different levels of membership that you can join, but they do have a free level, and they have different templates for the different types of clothing. There are so many different types of clothing. And what you do is you pull the template up and you simply put in the measurements that you've done, and it will create either links if you have a different website you're selling clothing on, or even just a picture that you can then upload to your eBay. So people can go through their pictures and they'll see the measurements on the picture. It'll look like this. And then it makes it even easier for your buyer, so they know exactly where you measured on the shirt to get those numbers. So please check it out. Like I said, I'll leave a link below in the comment section, or the description section, sorry. So anyway, so to make it faster, I also measure while I'm taking my pictures, and I have a spreadsheet. I'll eventually get this uploaded so you guys can see it too, but it just lists all of my inventory, and then I can also write the sizes. So it makes it a whole lot quicker. So then when I'm doing my listings, I have my spreadsheet with me and I can just put in the numbers as I'm doing my listing. So just a little quick tip there. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll show you first how I measure shirts. I thought it would be easiest on this men's shirt. It's just very straight cut, normal men's shirt. The first measurement that I take is my front measurement, is what it's called. Right underneath the collar, where the shoulder seam meets the collar, is where I put my tape measure. I measure straight down all the way to the bottom. And this one, I have a 30-inch, okay? If you're overseas or somewhere else that uses a different measurement, it might be centimeters, and Sizely also helps you with that. You can measure in centimeters. So that's your front measurement. Then I'm going to turn it to the side. We're going to do the sleeve measurement. The first measurement is right where the seam hits, all the way to the bottom of the cuff, straight down. And this is 24.5. Now, another suggestion is it may be easier to lay things flat because you want to make sure that you have an accurate description. But for this video purposes, I decided to keep it on the mannequin because I thought it would be a little bit easier to tape and show you. So that's your first sleeve measurement. Another sleeve measurement that I just learned about on Sizely is another sleeve measurement. You start from the middle where the collar is, you run it around to the seam, and down to the other seam. It's kind of hard to see. But this one's 11 inches, so it's, let me show you again, different angle. So from the middle and the back, around the collar, and down the seam. And then the last measurement that I take that I include, or excuse me, second to last measurement, is the back measurement, all the way to the bottom, because I know I like to know how long it is in the back to make sure that it's gonna cover my behind. So more importantly in the women's listings, but Sizely unfortunately doesn't have a place you can put the back measurement. And then the last measurement I'll show you in a few minutes on how to do the armpit. Okay, for your shirt measurements, you want to make sure that it is from the armpit seam all the way across to your other armpit seam. And you also, when you're doing this, want to make sure that the tape measure is very tight. It's hard to do right now because I have the camera in one hand, but make sure it is as flat as possible so your measurements are the most accurate. Okay, let's move on to pants. This is the one thing I hate about pants is there's so many measurements that people want to see and everybody wants to see a different type of measurement. So I'll try my best here. All right, so across the front, there are quite a few places that you want to take a measurement. The front rise is what it's called. You're going to take it from the crotch seam all the way to the top. So this is a 9.5. The next measurement that I like to take is the leg measurement. You're going to go to the outside seam all the way down to the bottom of the leg. The next one is the inseam, which is the most popular, so make sure you don't miss this one. You take it from the crotch seam on the inside seam of the pant leg all the way down. The other one is called the hip, and what you're going to do is most pants have a zipper which has stitching, and I start right at the bottom of the stitching, and you want to go from the side seam underneath of that all the way across, straight flat across, and that's your hip measurement. Your next measurement is your thigh measurement. You're going to go back to the crotch area. You're going to measure down 3 inches. Put your finger there, and then you're going to take your tape measure all the way across the thigh area to the other seam. So that's your thigh measurement. Then you're going to flip your pants over. And you're going to do the back rise, which again, you're going to find your crotch in the front and put your finger on the tape measure. This one's a little tricky. And then you're going to run it up the back seam of the pants, and that's your back rise. The last one I'm going to show you here in a minute is going to be the waist. Okay, in order to do the waist, you want to run the tape measure along the back of your pants, along the top. Lay the front, and then the other side of your tape measure is just simply going to come across. You want this unstretched. It's going to come across the whole pant and meet the other side of the tape measure so you know what the waist is. If you have a stretchy pair of pants, like athletic pants, make sure you indicate that you measured it unstretched. Okay guys, that's all I have for today. Make sure you comment below if you have any questions about how I measure. Also make sure that you like the video and also subscribe so that you can see all of the new videos as they come out. All right, until next time guys, happy thrifting. Thank you, Kyla. My daughter is helping me for the video today, of course. You want to say hi?
Mommy.
Hello! Okay, go play. Thank you for bringing that to me.